Let's jump right into it, man. We got Ari Wasserman on 3. He dropped his top 25 coaches list heading into 2025. Let's run down the first 5 names here. Obviously, you got number 1, Kirby Smart. Number 2, Ryan Day. 3, Dan Lanning. 4, Steve Sarkisian. And 5, Marcus Freeman. I think we're probably both in agreement. Kirby's number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty easy, right?
To me, I don't think on the entire list of 1 through 25, I think that is the most undisputed. Like, there is no disputing that. He's still the number one head coach in college football.
Yeah.
He had a down year this past year and won the SEC championship and was close again, making another college football semifinal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he's got Ryan Day number 2. And I don't really want to spoil anything as far as my own lists and everything, but that seems to be, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a
prisoner of the moment.
Prisoner of the moment, yeah, prisoner of the moment. Just coming off a national championship in a season where he didn't even win his own conference.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because I agree that the way that our brains are trained and our minds are trained in college football, the regular season has always meant so much, and conference races have always meant so much. And in this new model of college football that we've got now with the expanded playoffs that we have, that the postseason is now obviously going to have a lot larger of an emphasis on the sport in general. So it does allow for a coach to maybe not have the regular season and conference race that they normally would have. Then they go on a run in the playoff like Ryan Day just did. Honestly, man, I don't really have a huge problem with it. I do think that there obviously is some recency bias with that. Like, obviously, if he didn't win the national championship this past year, would he even be top 4 on this list? I don't know. But for me, it's not even just the fact that he just won the national championship. That's obviously a huge deal. He won a national championship. The run that they went on in the college football playoff, beating the teams that they beat in the playoff, beating Tennessee, beating number 1 Oregon, beating highly ranked Texas, and beating highly ranked Notre Dame, going on a run like that, beating Penn State in the regular season, beating Indiana in the regular season, both playoff teams. I mean, that's still an incredible run, man, even though they did have 2 losses in the regular season. But it's also, too, the longevity, man, of what Ryan Day has done in his career as far as, I mean, dude, basically he's clapped everybody's cheeks, not named Michigan, in his career. So his overall record and the fact now that he has that, that gorilla, monkey, whatever you want to call it, that was on his back, not being able to win the big one in the national championship game and win that playoff game type deal. He did win a national championship, so
yeah,
I'm okay with it. But I get it if you want to argue against it.
Yeah, Dan Lanning at number 3. I mean, to me, he's in danger of becoming, before the national championship, he's becoming the next Ryan Day.
Yeah,
like, wins a lot of games, but hasn't gotten it done in the postseason.
Nope. In this past year, he finally did win some big. He at least won some big games. And again, very young head coaching career. What was this?
Yeah.
Is this upcoming year his fourth
year at Oregon? Yeah,
4th year at Oregon. Yeah, it's either 3rd or 4th. I think it's his upcoming year. It's either 3rd or 4th. But this past year, he did beat Ohio State in the regular season. He did beat Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. So that's 2 big wins in a very early coaching career. Before that, he had issues beating like against Kalen DeBoer, for example, at Washington. He did have trouble winning the bigger. He got this absolute ass kicked by Georgia and Kirby Smart in that first game of the year for Oregon a couple of years ago. So up until this past year, he'd really been getting it handed to him in the bigger games.
Yeah.
He got that monkey off his back beating Ohio State and Penn State this past year. But again, obviously, the Rose Bowl, yikes. So you're right. He needs to, in a hurry, win some bigger games in the postseason, or he will start getting that. He'll be the next one, start getting kind of tagged as the one that can't win the bigger games in the postseason pretty quickly if he doesn't.
Yeah. You got Sark with back-to-back Final Fours, and then Marcus Freeman coming off a national championship appearance as well. 6 through 10, got Dabo Swinney, Deion Sanders, Kyle Whittingham, Caleb DeBoer, and Josh Heupel.
Well, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I know we'll probably get to it on our own lists. Dabo at 6. Obviously, multiple national championships. He's the only other coach not named Kirby Smart to have multiple national titles. Do you think that because of his, I know he did pick up a couple of transfers this past year, but his overall lack of adapting to the new age of college football as a whole, do you think that's why he's knocked down a little bit at 6? Again, the recency bias stuff. Like, I'm just wondering, when does it become a thing to where, like, you do start knocking him a little bit? But, like, I keep going back to the fact, dude, he still won the ACC championship this past year. Like, I went back and looked at it. Since, like, 2015, Clemson still has averaged over 11 wins per year since 2015, multiple national championships. I just don't know how many years it takes to, like, possibly where you kind of lose a little bit of your status and you do continue to drop on the list. Like, still for me, man, I would be, for example, I would be okay. Like, I think Andy actually did. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Andy actually had Dabo at like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Having Dabo and Deion right next to each other, like,
joke.
Deion, I mean, that's having Deion Sanders, no disrespect to Ari, but that's a total bait job. And this post is, a couple weeks old, so I'm not sure how well that worked out for him, but there's no way that Deion deserves to be in the top 10.
No.
And I'm not sure he deserves to be in
Not
the top
15.
20. Like, it's crazy.
Great year this past year. Incredible year.
Yeah.
Like, it really was. Like, to take the team that he took over, that was a complete dumpster fire at Colorado, and then in year 2, have the year that he had this past year. Incredible. Heisman Trophy winner, all of that. That's remarkable. But that doesn't mean that you're a top 15, top 20 coach just doing that for 1 year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 8 and 9, you got Whittingham and DeBoer. I think this is where it gets tricky for me. I think DeBoer, like, just on the face of it, looking at him as the number 9 head coach, I think he should be higher, but, like, I can't really put him ahead of Kyle Whittingham. Like, just like the longevity, the head-to-head they've had and everything. Like, I would put Whittingham above DeBoer.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute on our on our own list.
I put DeBoer above Deion, like, for sure.
No, for sure. But you know what I think of Whit. You know what I think of Whittingham. Like, we both, like, we're huge fans of Kyle Whittingham and your Lance Leopolds and your Chris Klymans here on this show. The guys that always do more with less. We love those guys. But yeah, I mean, I personally would have DeBoer ahead of Whittingham, and I know you're going to say shocker, Bama fan. But still, what he did at Washington, what he's done overall in his career in coaching, like, but again, if you want to argue against me that you think Whittingham should be ahead of him, I get it. Like, Whittingham's longevity overall at Utah, and it probably is not talked about enough, the job that he did taking Utah from the Mountain West to the Pac-12 and how quickly he had Utah competing at a really high level. A lot of your teams that went from the Group of 5 to the Power 5 before the transfer portal era, where you could just go get players like that was remarkable what he did. So, I mean, I don't really push back against it.
Yeah. 11 through 15. This is where it gets interesting with his list. You got Mario Cristobal at 11, which is hilarious. Hilarious. Kurt Signetti and Kenny Dillingham coming in at 12 and 13, fresh off of CFP appearances. You got Lance Leipold at 14, and good old James Franklin all the way down at 15.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Shockingly, that seems a little low to me. I mean, I'm not a big James Franklin fan, but 15 seems a little low. And then right behind him, I'll just go ahead and get to it. Number 16, Brian Kelly. That seems a little low too.
It's not a little low. In my humble opinion, it's very low. You're talking about, I mean, isn't he the winningest coach in Notre Dame football history?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and
I think he's a second active, like a minimum of like 10 seasons. He has the second best active winning percentage behind Dabo.
Yeah, see, man, again, this is recency bias that he lost 4 games like 2 years in a row with really talented LSU teams. And I agree. If this coming up year with what he's got coming back, if he loses 4 games again or really underachieves, sure, drop him more on the list. He dropped a little bit on my list, but not all the way down to 16. Like, I'm sorry, get out of here with that. James Franklin, same thing. We can all make fun of big game James and how he doesn't win all these big games and how he doesn't win games as an underdog and doesn't beat the best teams he plays against. Sorry, no offense to Boise and SMU. That's not Ohio State. That's not Michigan when Michigan's Michigan. That's not Notre Dame this past year. Good teams, but that's not the top upper echelon teams of college football that James Franklin normally loses to. Still, Franklin wins a lot of games in double-digit games almost every single year, multiple Rose Bowl appearances, college football semifinals appearance. He should be higher on this list, man. Cristobal being at 11 it's almost as egregious to me as Dion being at 7.
Yeah.
Again, there isn't a coach in college football that does less with more than Mario. There just isn't. Yeah. And he actually had a really good year this past year. But if you really want to break it down, having Cam Ward and the overall talent that Miami had and the schedule that they played, to lose to Georgia Tech and to Syracuse with the team that they had, that is absolutely Mario Cristobal in a nutshell.
Yep.
Again, underachieving. I don't care how many games Miami won this past year. He underachieved with that Miami team this past year. There is no reason in hell they shouldn't have been a top 12 team.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been in that ACC championship game with the team that they had.
Yeah.
So, that's way too high.
Yep.
For him.
17, Lane Kiffin. 18, Brett Bielema. 19, Sharon Moore. 20, Kirk Ferentz. Again, Sharon Moore, 19, too high.
Yeah. What's he done so far? What, he been a head coach for 1 year and lost 5 games?
Yeah.
He went 7-5 at Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't care again. I know Michigan lost a lot of players and lost a lot of coaches, but how can you be a top 20 coach, man, if you've coached 1 year and you're 7-5?
All because they paid for Bryce Underwood, I guess.
I disagree with that, and I definitely disagree with Kiffin being all the way down at 17, man.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about this with some of the folks on X recently that were saying that Kiffin had underachieved and all this stuff. No, he has overachieved at Ole Miss. The fact that Ole Miss this past year won 10 games, counting their bowl game, and people are touting that as underachieving.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, in 3 of the 4 years he's been a head coach at Ole Miss, or 3 of the 5, whatever it is. In 3 of the years, it's either 4 years or 5 years that Kiffin's been at Ole Miss. He has the most wins in the single season. Before he got there, the most wins in a single season at Ole Miss was 10. He's done that 3 times already in 4 or 5 years at Ole Miss. Think about that. They won 10 games this past year. And people are, and they did. With the talent that they had, they did underachieve.
Mm-hmm.
But he's done such a good job at Ole Miss that we are now saying that 10 wins, everybody is saying that 10 wins is underachieving at Ole Miss, when before he got there, that was literally the most wins in Ole Miss football single season history.
Yeah.
And he won 11 games a couple of years ago, which is the most wins 2 years ago when they beat Penn State in the Peach Bowl. That's the most wins in Ole Miss football single season history.
Yeah.
And we've got list of that has him all the way down at 17, and we've got people acting like he's underachieving at Ole Miss.
Yeah. If you thought that Dion at 7 was crazy and Mario Cristobal at 11 was crazy, number 21 is Bill Belichick. What is he even doing on this list?
He hasn't coached a game. And again, I think you know the answer to this. It's obviously what he's, but here's the thing. If you're going to put him on the list at all, that means that you're including obviously what he's done in his professional football career, obviously, because he hasn't coached a single game yet. So if you're putting him on the list, why would he not be all the way up at number 1 or number 2?
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you're putting him on the list in general, why is he down at 21?
Yeah.
That's my problem with that.
Yeah.
And again, man, I know he's the butt of a ton of jokes, and it seems like that a lot of people just don't like the guy. But I'm sorry, Lincoln Riley all the way down at 22. How many Big 12 championships did this guy win? And how many? I think 3 playoff appearances, the college football playoff appearances. He won double-digit games his first year at USC. Was a couple of plays away from being in the college football playoff that first year. And yes, they've underachieved greatly the last 2 years. But the last 2 years does not, in my opinion, wipe out what he's done in overall his career as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be behind Bill Belichick.
He shouldn't be behind Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal.
Yeah.
Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah. Rounding out top 25, Brent Venables, Kalani Satake, and Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell should be a little higher, honestly.
I think Sataki and Campbell
Yeah.
should be higher, but I agree. Campbell should absolutely be higher.
What about some names that we did not see on this list? I rattled off 10 or 11 here, just kind of typing away. Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're going in order. You're just naming names. You're not going
Yeah,
in
I'm
order.
just naming names.
Okay,
Should he
good.
be included in the top 25?
Yeah, I was going to say because number one on my list is not even close. I can't believe he's not on this list. It's Chris Kleiman.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got to be on this list.
Yeah.
Like the dude won 8 zillion national titles in North Dakota State. North Dakota State hasn't been the same since he left there. He goes to Kansas State, takes over a dumpster fire. Kansas State has been really good every year he's been there. Even on the down years at K-State since he's been there, he's been really good. He beat Lincoln Riley multiple times when Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma, and nobody was beating Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. I just can't believe Kleiman's not on this list. Lashley for me. I mean, I'd have him on here ahead of.
You probably got to put him top 20 because, I mean, you have to decide whether he's top 20 or not because we know Sanders and Cristobal and Belichick are all kind of what they are on this list.
Sharon Moore wouldn't be top 20 for me.
Yes, I mean, would Lashley be ahead of those guys?
I'd have Lashley ahead of Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Cristobal, I mean, I'd have him ahead of Cristobal, but like, if you really take a look at Cristobal's overall career, maybe it wins and stuff. I don't have it right in front of me, like maybe, but like Lashley probably would be definitely top 25, but it's possible he'd be top 20.
Let me throw some more rapid fire to you. Shane Beamer.
No, but he's close. Okay. I could see him top 25 because, again, I would have him ahead of, right now, Sharon Moore, Bill Belichick, and Dion.
Yeah.
So I would probably have him top 25. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go Jeff Monken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Out of all the names, him and Kleiman, I don't care that it's group of 5. What Monken has done at Army, the amount of games that he's won at Army, and doing it in different ways, you know, going to that gun option, spread option deal from just the traditional triple option, multiple defensive coordinators that have all done a really good job. And I mean, yeah, he absolutely would be on there.
Hugh Freeze?
No.
Okay. Jeff Brom.
It's a good one. I'm starting to eliminate names and add names. I'll get back to you. Maybe top 25.
Okay.
So we got Monken, for sure, Monken and Kleiman.
Yeah. Maybe Lashley.
Lashley did beat Louisville this year, but Brom did a really good job at Purdue. He's done really well at Louisville so far. We'll come back to that one to see if I put him in the top 25.
We're throwing Bill Belichick and Sharon Moore on there. What about Mike Elko?
Not yet, but he could climb this list in a hurry.
Okay. I mean, he's not technically not a first-year head coach. What he did at Duke was pretty.
Yeah, what he did at Duke, he did at Duke, but he could climb this list. And again, like I said, names that I would like. Let's just do this. So far, I've got 2 that I would add to this list.
Okay.
So again, if I'm adding to the list, who are you taking out?
Yeah.
So I'm taking out Dion for sure. I'm taking out Bill Belichick for sure. I'm taking out Sharon Moore for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 that I'm taking out.
Probably.
I'm taking out Brent Venables.
Yeah.
I'm taking out Brent Venables. He hasn't done enough yet at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's definitely 3 years at Oklahoma. Has had 2 lull seasons and 1 really good one.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's out. That's 4 I'm taking out.
Yeah.
I'm taking Dillingham out, man. I mean, one good year, and he's a top 25 coach. Maybe he is, but I don't think he hasn't done enough yet to like what some of these other guys have.
Yeah.
I'll just say 4 for sure.
Okay.
I'll leave a little bit depending on who else you name. The others,
I got a handful more here.
All right, go ahead.
Pat Narduzzi.
No.
Okay. Matt Rule.
Gosh, what he did at Baylor and Temple.
I mean, Matt Rule is basically just an older, like a more seasoned Kenny Dillingham. Like he hasn't done much, but he sucked his first years and then improved every year after that.
Not yet. I mean, honestly, man, is he actually a top 25 coach? Like, if you, this sounds stupid to say, but I don't know any other way to say it. Is he one of the best 25 coaches in college football? Yes. Does his resume overall, as far as the amount of wins and all of that and all he's accomplished, stack up to say that? Probably not.
Okay.
So so far I've only got 2 for sure that I'm putting in the top 25.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Greg Schiano.
God, you're good, bro. Oh man. I mean, he literally had what was Rutgers that year, that one year, that magical year? Didn't they get ranked like number 2 in the
07?
country or one point or something?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. But damn good football coach, but I'm gonna say no.
How about your boy Jed Fish?
Not yet, but
Okay.
he could quickly get there.
Okay.
He could quickly get there. He
One
kind of
more.
again, he's in that category of what Dillingham or whatever, or Signetti. Like he had a really good year at Arizona, one really good year at Arizona.
Yeah.
But a couple more good years, he could climb in here.
One more. Mike Gundy. Dude lost his over or under win total for the first time ever last year.
He's in there, man. He's in there.
Yeah,
I mean, he's in there. He's got to be in there. I mean, the longevity of what he's overall, what he's done at Oklahoma State, he's got to be in there. All right.
Yeah.
So that's 3 added, right?
Yeah. You got any more names you thought of?
No, honestly, I haven't. Those were good ones, though, man. I said I would take out 4, I added 3, so I'm adding Matt Rule.
Okay.
I'm going to add Matt Rule as a top 25 coach.
Okay.
I'm taking out Belichick, Dion, Brent Venables, and Sharon Moore. That's the 4 I'm taking out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys indulging us, during conference tournament weekend here, talking a little college football head coaches. We love lists. We're definitely going to put out some more lists later on this season. This will probably be one of them. So you'll see this pop up here in a couple months. Just, scrolling through TikTok, at Always Talking Ball, or Instagram at Always Talking Ball, YouTube Shorts, anything like that. You're going to see it pop up, and you're like, oh, yeah, those guys did do a list. Maybe I should go check out their entire episode. So, appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, we're going to be back next week. We're going to talk some March Madness. We're going to talk, who's going to cut down the nets, who we think is going to cut down the nets. Will it be Auburn? Will it be Alabama? Will it be Duke, Houston, Florida? So many good teams this year. Should be fun to watch. Next, 4 weekends of the sports calendar with basketball and then the Masters coming up. So awesome. After that, we'll talk some spring games, what teams are actually having spring games. We'll talk that. We'll talk post top 25 rankings after spring ball. Then we'll get into just kind of ramping up towards the season for 3 or 4 months. And it's going to be a fun time of the year, man. We're going to have a great list of guests on. So we appreciate you guys for following along. Subscribe to the show, send it to your friends. Lance, you got anything else to add?
No, man. You could follow the show also on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We put out some great reels and stuff on those social media sites as well. And like Tyler said, give us a subscribe on YouTube. It helps us out. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you think this show is good, we're not asking for freebies. If you think this is a good show, send this along to your friends that you think that they love college sports and college football in general. We just love talking ball with you guys. So we appreciate you joining us.
All right. We'll see you next time.